All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today is an update on JujiMufu and the NPC North Americans competition. We've got Juji's final placing here. So in the super heavyweight category, the open super heavyweights where he competed, Felix Norman took first, so congratulations to him. He earned his IFBB Pro card. And JujiMufu, he is John Call, competitor number 404. He received 11th place at the NPC North Americans. So no pro card for Juji this time around. Now, again, we talked about this a lot yesterday, but I think the main two issues were the chest and the outer sweep of his quads. And I think that he just simply didn't peak for this show. He was off. And like I said, I really think that he's probably going to put out a video on his channel talking about the results of this show and talking about why he looked the way he looked, because I do think there had to be an injury or something going on, especially with the chest. I think in those before and after pictures that we showed in yesterday's video was a pretty clear indication that something was going on, and I'm sure he probably knows better than we do what exactly is going on. And he probably knew going into the show, so props to him for still competing, still finishing the show, still going through with the prep, probably knowing that something was wrong or something was off or there was an injury. He trained and competed through it. Now, again, with the quads, that kind of puffiness, that inflammation look on the outer sweep, I don't know if that looks as much like an injury because on both sides. With the chest, it's kind of just that left pec that looks the most puffy, and it just looks weird. It's just one side with his pecs, but on the quads, it's both sides, which I think is interesting. And maybe that could lend some credence to the site injection theory that I've seen in the comments. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about how JujiMufu looked at his North Americans appearance here, and what do you think was going on with the quads and the chest. Now, next up in the news, we've got a physique update from Martin Fitzwater, actually multiple physique updates over the past week or so. Obviously, he was just runner-up at the Texas Pro behind Andrew Jack, probably one of the most impressive physiques we've seen in a really long time, Andrew Jack winning that show. So Martin taking second, I think, was a pretty large feather in his cap there, and I think he deserved it. He looked fantastic. He beat Steve Kuklo. Not an easy guy to beat. Steve is a veteran at this point. And I think Martin really impressed a lot of people, including myself. I think he looked very, very dangerous at that show. And I think now he's under 3 weeks out from the Arnold Classic UK, and I think that you really can't count him out of that show as being one of the favorites to win. You got Andrew Jack coming back. Supposedly Andrew's going to be there competing in the Arnold UK. So you might have that rematch of Andrew and Martin. We talked about James Hollingshead yesterday, who's doing that show. But honestly, I still kind of have a feeling that it might be in Andrew's best interest not to do the Arnold Classic UK and focus on the Olympia prep, and that might be what he's doing. He hasn't said that, and his coach George hasn't said that yet. But I have a feeling he might pull out of the Arnold Classic UK. And if he does, I feel like that gives Martin a much stronger position to be one of the favorites to win. I really do. He's got a really impressive physique. His conditioning was great. I know he trains with Branch Warren, so that might be why I'm leaning towards saying he's got a very Branch Warren-esque physique. He's a much shorter guy, crazy quads, crazy conditioning. I think he really impressed the hell out of a lot of people in Texas and made a lot of new fans. And I think he's a guy that I'm rooting for going into this Arnold Classic UK. I think he's going to do very well. And him versus James, I think, will be an interesting comparison, Hollingshead. So just be on the lookout for Martin Fitzwater at the Arnold Classic UK. Now, next up in the news, some more updates from Big Ramy. Now we're getting updates pretty much daily, whether it's a training video or a posing video. Him and Dennis James are training together, and I thought it was interesting. I should also point out here that there was a video on Andrew Jack's story of him talking to Ramy. So Andrew Jack and Ramy met. I believe that's the first time they ever met. But Dennis James posting a shoulder training video with Ramy here. He says Ramy is fully committed to bringing his best to Vegas, and he tags Ramy and his coach, Chad Nichols. So it's interesting that it seems like Ramy and his camp are taking a different approach this year, this far out from the Olympia, becoming a lot more active on social media. And going into last year's Mr. Olympia, Ramy said there was a very long period of time where he didn't train at all leading up to that Olympia prep. This year it looks like that's different. He's been training full-time, the entirety of this offseason, supposedly. And now it looks like I said, it's a different approach. We're seeing a lot more of Ramy on social media. That's kind of been a really big knock against him as a Mr. Olympia champion. He hasn't really posted much throughout the majority of his reign. He hasn't been very super engaging on social media. But lately it seems like he's kind of changing that attitude around, and we're seeing a lot more from him. And I think that could be a combination of him just having the right people around him. I think Dennis knows the name of the game. Dennis is probably giving him the right advice. Chad Nichols is probably giving him the right advice when it comes to social media stuff. But it could also be that Ramy has a different mentality this year. I feel like he knows that he needs to really bring it this year. I think last year he was a little bit off compared to how he looked the first Olympia that he won. And I think that he knows that this year it needs to be different. This year he needs to really slam the doors shut to win the show. Definitely, I think he needs to be better than he was last year, and I think he is going to be. Based on everything we're seeing, these updates are pretty crazy. And we talked yesterday about that Cutlercast episode where they were talking about the Arnold Classic drama. They also talked about Ramy, and they made a really good point of who right now is going to beat Ramy. Look at the width that Ramy has, and look at the small waist that Ramy has. Look at the size that Ramy has. If he comes in conditioned, who in this lineup right now is really doing enough to dethrone him? So if Ramy doesn't miss the mark and he's on come December, I think he's going to win. He would have to be, I think at this point, he would have to be off with this lineup. Even how crazy this lineup is, he would have to be really off, really leave the door open for someone to dethrone him this year, which is still a possibility, but I think based on what we're seeing, he's on track to be his best, better than ever. And the final story that I've got for you guys today, Wesley Vissers. We haven't seen him compete in a while. Classic physique guy that has had a lot of hype in the past. And he's had trouble really delivering on that hype. He hasn't really had one of those top Olympia placings that a lot of people thought he would. Or even at the Arnold Classic, he wasn't really a top contender when he did that show. So we're looking to see, this is kind of the Wesley Vissers comeback. He's, like I said, we haven't really seen him compete in a while. He's competing in the Arnold Classic UK, Classic Physique category, of course. He's been back to posting physique updates where he looks really impressive, but we've seen this in the past with Wesley. He looks crazy on Instagram. He looks crazy on social media. Great classic physique. But when it comes to actually competing, we have yet to see him really deliver like a 100% on package. So I'm very curious to see how he does here. Like I said, it's been a while, and I would like to see him on the Classic Physique Olympia stage if he can deliver there. So that's what we're going to find out here in just a few short weeks at the Arnold Classic UK. And that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you leave a like, a thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed it. That helps out a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet already. Click that bell notification icon. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.
Dancing in the good light, everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Dancing in the good light, everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody's dancing